Fang Peak is extremely high, and there are many restrictions on the peak. As a forbidden area of Star Emperor Mountain, it is naturally well protected. If you want to come here, you can only walk on foot. You can't fly at all. The flying restriction formation is enough for anyone trying to fly to this peak to suffer. On the trail between the peaks, Xianxia and Yixian walked at a rapid pace, and quickly climbed to the top of the peak. The Void King grade battleship is docked halfway up the mountain, ready to respond at any time. The tall mountain peak is actually nothing to the two of them, and they have reached the top within half an hour. The squally wind blew, and the two people were hunting. Great Elder, someone is welcoming us. Xianxia's eyes instantly fixed on the old man and middle-aged man in front of him, grinning. Yixian narrowed her phoenix eyes, looked at the old man with a complicated expression, and shouted, "Xianxia! Senior Sister Yi." The old man smiled slightly, with a gentle smile, which made people feel like a spring breeze. It seemed that there was no harm at all. The younger brother did not expect that with your temperament, there would be a day to return to Star Emperor Mountain. There are many things you didn't expect. Junior brother Chi, are you ready? I don't know what junior brother has to be ready for. Xianxia smiled slightly. Preparing for his fall, I hope you have arranged the funeral. Yixian snorted coldly. Senior sister doesn't mention this kind of thing, and the junior brother has already arranged it well. The young disciple is there. Today, whether it is you or me who died, they will be buried well. Xianxia gestured to the side. It was Lang Xingwo who was watching indifferently, and he nodded lightly. If this is the case, the senior sister will send the junior brother on the end of the road. Yixian nodded lightly. Junior brother feels that senior sister's loss is relatively large. If the words are not too speculative, the two brothers and sisters fought each other when they met. The psychological offensive began. After the verbal confrontation, the atmosphere suddenly became serious, and the expressions of the two became extremely serious, looking at each other. Seems to treat each other as enemies of their lives. Suddenly, the two figures flickered, and they all disappeared from the same place. When they reappear, the two have separated 10 feet away from each other. An indescribable force burst out from the two of them and enveloped each other. In an instant, that piece of space became distorted. That invisible power is almost condensed to the essence and is observable by the naked eye. In that area, there seems to be a wonderful power surging. They come and go, and the spirit of the two brothers and sisters merge together, clash towards each other. The corners of Xianxia's eyes twitched, and the corners of Fang Peng's mouth twitched, and Lang Qing, who was standing in the distance, widened his eyes. All three were shocked. The big accomplishment, she has even touched the threshold of the domain, and both Yixian and Xianxia have reached this state. The first encounter was evenly matched. Whether it was Yixian or Xianxia, both showed a surprised look, and the two obviously did not expect that the other party had achieved this. But soon, the two of them started to move again. Yixian sacrificed the bone-eroding fire lantern. With a pinch of her bare hand, the flames of each lamp contained the power of destroying the sky and earth, blasting towards Xianxia, sometimes mixed with one secret technique. Xianxia naturally did not dare to show weakness. A golden disc-like artifact was suspended above his head, like a small sun. During the rotation, blazing dazzling golden light from the secret treasure, it was actually as good as the bone-eroding flame lantern. He muttered words in his mouth, pinched his cumbersome knot seal with his hands, and also displayed what he had learned in his life. With Yixian together, it was like in deep water. Sun Moon golden disc. Xianxia stared at the secret treasure offered by Xianxia. He can recognize this secret treasure naturally because of Yixian's previous explanation. This is also one of the two Void King grade artifacts left in Star Emperor Mountain. It is of extremely high grade. It seems to be refined by the Great Emperor. It can absorb the essence of the sun and the moon, contain it, and release it when confronting an enemy. There are two forms of the sun-moon golden disk, and now it shows only the first one, and it releases only the power of the sun's divine light scorching hot. When it transforms into the second type, it will become a crescent moon, and the power released will be extremely cold, enough to freeze the soul of a person. In terms of power alone, the sun and moon golden disk is above the bone-eroding fire lantern, but the stronger the power of the artifact, the more Saint Yuan needs to be consumed when using it. This is indisputable. Yi Xian and Xianxia are both standing at the top of the pyramid of shadowed star martial artists' strength. Even if the artifacts used are slightly different in power, it is not a matter of time to tell the winner. Yongkai was watching attentively, suddenly frowned, stretched his hand forward a little, and the purple shield appeared instantly, blocking it there. With a thud, Yongkai's body shook slightly, his expression gloomy. Looking up, he saw Fang Peng standing there sneering at himself. Sect Master Fang, it's not good to attack this kind of thing. If you want to fight, just say, this sect master will stay with you to the end. Yongkai snorted. Stop talking nonsense, since you have been up to the Star Emperor Mountain, boy, don't even think about returning safely. This place today is your burial place. Fang Peng shouted sharply. Because of Yongkai, he had to abandon Thunder Typhoon's tens of thousands of years of foundation, and even moved his hands and feet on the ancestral foundation, trying to bury Yongkai together. But now, Yongkai appears here intact, then it shows that his previous preparations were in vain. Not only accompanied the headquarters of Thunder Wind Canyon, but also accompanied the lives of the 5 elders. If Yongkai doesn't die here, there will never be Thunder Typhoon sect. Only by killing him can Thunder Typhoon sect appear again. The old thing has a big tone. Once my life, come and get it by yourself. I don't know if you have this ability. Yongkai hummed, stretched out his hand, and the firebird flew out. The sound of the dragon roar also came out. The dragon bone verdant sword dripped emerald green light. The next moment, the emerald dragon also soared in the air. Chi 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 chi. A series of space's blades appeared beside Yongkai. Under the control of his spiritual mind, took shape and shot towards Fang Peng. Fang Peng's expression changed drastically. Although he was frantically speaking, he didn't mean to underestimate Yongkai. Seeing that Yongkai used many methods, he naturally did not dare to be negligent. The light flashed wildly on his body, and a majestic and magnificent treasure appeared. Defending before attacking, Fang Peng's movements showed his lack of confidence as soon as he was confronted. At the same time, his wrist shook, and a long whip suddenly appeared, and the aura that belonged to the secret treasure of the Void King Grade rose up and down from that long whip. Thunder Typhoon sect is one of the 2 great giants of the Shadowed Star, and naturally has this level of secret treasure as the treasure of the sect. This Thunder Fire 7 Birds whip is the treasure of Thunder Typhoon sect for thousands of years. Normally, he couldn't use it at all. Fang Peng took it away when he withdrew from Thunder Typhoon sect. Now facing Yongkai, he took it out without hesitation. This long whip is a treasure of an ancestor of Thunder Typhoon sect. It was obtained from an ancient relic during foreign training. It is said that it was also quite famous in the ancient period. Refining it consumes countless rare materials and also sealed 7 spirit of a powerful monster beast that can transform into the appearance of a monster bird. Finally, it was tempered in the 10,000 years thunder fire pool and absorbed the thunder fire power. Any secret treasure below the Void King level can't help it beating. Once it is contaminated by thunder and fire, the spirituality of the secret treasure will be greatly lost. As the long whip flicked, there was a faint sound of wind and thunder. At this moment, the firebird rushed to the top of Fang Peng's head, opened its mouth wide, and burst out fireballs larger than the pot facing Fang Peng under his hood. Fang Peng was holding the Void King Grade secret treasure, and he was not afraid of it. He swung the Thunder and Fire 7 bird whip with a vicious look, and whipped it towards the firebird. A stern cry came from the firebird's mouth, and it evaded it and was whipped upright. The light on its body was suddenly dimmed, as if it had been traumatized. Yongkai's expression changed, but he soon calmed down. In his induction, although the firebird was injured a little, it was not a major problem, but it aroused its fierceness even more. At this moment, the blade of space struck in front of Fang Peng. Facing this kind of weird power, Fang Peng didn't dare to be lighthearted. His figure flashed, voiding from the place, and waiting to reappear. At that time, people were only 10 feet away from Xianxia. The Thunder and Fire 7 bird whips made a graceful arc and drew towards Xianxia. It is worthy of being a powerhouse of the Third Order Void Return stage realm, and it is worthy of being the Sect Master. Both strength and experience are much stronger than ordinary cultivators, especially the pure and strong Saint Yuan, which seems to have some tendency to surpass the Third Order realm. Xianxia could only use a purple shield to defend against the tricky attack. But the Thunder and Fire 7 bird whip actually changed direction in midair, avoiding the position of the purple shield defense as if it were spiritual. Fang Peng shook his wrist, and the long whip was shaken straight like a long spear, thrusting straight into Xianxia's heart. On the long whip, the figure of a demon bird turned out, and there was a faint tweet. It looks like an eagle but not an eagle, with sharp claws and a wingspan of more than 10 feet, which obscures the sky in the light. Heavenly mystical bird. Xianxia looked indifferently, as if he didn't know the disaster was approaching, and he didn't even mean to avoid it. The loud dragon roar came from the side. The green dragon shook its head and waved its tail, and intercepted the heavenly mystical bird. The next moment, the two collided together. The dragon's roar and the bird's song were endless, and there were violent energy fluctuations. Heavenly mystical bird's phantom body dimmed at a speed visible to the naked eye. On the contrary, the green giant dragon fought more and more fiercely, throwing away the helmet and abandoning the armor of the opponent, and screamed repeatedly. Impossible. Fang Peng was shocked, staring at the emerald dragon in a daze. How could he not believe it? He knew that the green longsword in Xianxia's hand was definitely a good secret treasure, but he never thought that it was actually a Void King grade secret treasure. If this is not the case, there is no way to compare it with Thunderfire 7 Bird's Whip, and the Thunderfire that could corrode the spirituality of the secret treasure had no effect on the Emerald Dragon. On the contrary, his Thunder and Fire 7 Whip seemed to be spiritually damaged. The opponent's Emerald Dragon is actually extremely poisonous. Fang Peng's face changed drastically, desperately urging Saint Yuan and spiritual mind. The heavenly mystical bird phantom body immediately disappeared, and turned into a long whip again, freed from the entanglement of the emerald dragon like a snake, and returned to his hand. To be continued.